Corporate India descended on Gujarat to hail Narendra Modi as the king. Hindutva poster boy is now India Inc.'s mascot. It was Modi's moment of crowning glory after his election trailblazer as he began selling his million-dollar dreams to industrialists. And Vibrant Gujarat 2013 was a turning point with the UK envoy chanting the Modi mantra. He is no longer a global pariah.
Modi's crowning glory after his election trailblazer. It's corporate India's all-embracing hug.
हिंदुस्तान में कम से कम बेरोजगार किसी एक राज्य में है, उस राज्य का नाम गुजरात है। और हिंदुस्तान में कुल जो जॉब क्रिएशन होता है, उसमें से 72% जॉब अकेले गुजरात ने किए।
Exalted as the king among kings, turning Gujarat into an economic powerhouse, Modi unleashes his market-savvy image, selling billion-dollar dreams.
हम सिर्फ गुजरात की भलाई के लिए काम कर रहे ऐसा नहीं है। इसके कारण पूरे देश के माहौल को बदलने में एक बहुत बड़ा इफेक्टिव रोल इस समिट के माध्यम से होगा। और मित्रों, मुझे गर्व से कहना है कि 2003 से हमने इस समिट का प्रारंभ किया है। ये छठी समिट है। आज के हिंदुस्तान में जब भी विकास की बात आती है, विदेशी पूंजी निवेश की बात आती है, ग्लोबल पार्टनरशिप की बात आती है, तो हमेशा गुजरात के वाइब्रेंट समिट को रेफरेंस के रूप में लिया जाता है। ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा है।
And India Inc. could not agree more. The Hindutva poster boy is now the corporate India's mascot. Anil Ambani crowned the Gujarat Chief Minister king. Mahindra said China will replicate the Gujarat model.
Not only is Gujarat one of the fastest growing states in the country, but its example is being emulated across many states. What strikes me today is the leadership displayed in energy, agriculture, skills, technology and innovation.
It is my pleasure to tell you, Narendra Bhai, that we have committed over 100,000 crores, and in the next 3 years we will again invest under your leadership this back into Gujarat.
Narendra Bhai literally is a lord of men, a leader among leaders and a king among kings. Gujarat has been the birthplace of India's greatest leaders. What all these great men have had to say about leadership.
Some of them went a step beyond, showering a bonanza. Not just India Inc., the Modi charm has won over his international detractors. He is no longer a global pariah. The UK and the US too are chanting the Modi mantra. India's business tycoons may have descended in Ahmedabad, but statistics show that 1/5 of Vibrant Gujarat's MOUs have failed to take off. The 5 summits put together chalked out a mind-boggling 12,715 investments worth rupees 39.55 lakh crore, but many have failed to take off.
Narendra Modi has always succeeded in putting up a grand show at the Investor Summit. But the data released by Gujarat government say that close to 20% of the MOUs signed in previous summits have been cancelled. This time around, 2 business tycoons have lined up promising huge investments for the state. But it remains to be seen whether Narendra Modi succeeds in translating them into reality. With Ujjwal Oza, Mausiki Acharya Jani in Gandhinagar for Headlines Today.
You know, he's being compared with Arjuna from the Mahabharata. He's being compared with Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel. Have top Indian businessmen gone overboard in proclaiming their love for Narendra Modi? Is Vibrant Gujarat more hype than reality? That's the center stage face-off for tonight. Joining us on this broadcast, we have 2 of India's top business leaders. We've got Venugopal Doot, chairperson of Videocon Industries, Captain Gopinath, founder of Air Deccan. We've also got GVL Narasimha Rao, from the BJP. I want to go across first to Captain Gopinath. Anil Ambani says Modi is a king among kings. He's got the clarity of vision and purpose of Arjuna. Now, I just think, sir, that maybe Indian businessmen have got carried away. You know, these are big names, respected names. Someone's comparing with Arjuna, Sardar Patel, Mahatma Gandhi. Do you think this is a bit too much? Rara Modi?
Yeah, I mean, that may probably a bit sycophantic, again going overboard and hyperbolic, as you say. But I would also like to speak about my personal experience with him, because I have a Gujarat shuttles operations going on there, and I'll just very briefly narrate, how exactly my interaction with Narendra Modi took place a year and a half ago. He sent for me, and I went and met him in Gujarat, in his Ahmedabad. The meeting was fixed at a particular time. I was taken to his home office, and the first, impression was that we didn't have 1,000 people hanging around there, touts, middlemen, various politicians hanging around. Where you're first, outside the gate, then inside the gate, then the veranda, then the inner circle, then the inner sanctum sanctorum. I was taken straight into a waiting room, and at the appointed hour, I was taken to a conference room. Modi arrived on time with a principal secretary and the concerned secretary of the department who was handling aviation. And he said, Captain Saab, what you did for Air Deccan in India, आप गुजरात में कर सकते हैं. And I already had a plan where I said that Gujarat has 9 airports, 9 cities. All of them were linked to Bombay, and none of them were linked either with each other or with Ahmedabad. I said I'm going to start a very small regional operation to put Gujarat cities on the air map, interconnected with each other.
No.
And he said, just give me 2 minutes. He said, what do you expect from me? And I said, I want your sales tax to be reduced to 4%, and I want the state to promote the air connectivity, and I don't want any bureaucracy between me and the launch. And he said that, Captain Saab, I'll be faster than you as long as you deliver on your promise. And within about 3 months, he brought down the sales tax to 4%, and there was a personal secretary who was, there was a joint secretary who was monitoring this, Mr. Mishra, and everything went tickety-boo, and I launched on the appointed date.
But that's the point. That's the point, Captain Gopinath, that just because businessmen are so fond of him, just because he goes out of their way, goes out of his way, bends over backwards, GVL, to please businessmen. For him, businessmen are most important. The praise of the Ambanis, the Tatas, that's the most important, and therefore businessmen are very happy with him because he does what they want. And that's the allegation the opposition always levels, that he is a chief minister for the businessman, of the businessman, because that's the constituency he keeps happiest.
But Rahul, I think this is exactly what the Congress party focused on through this election campaign just about a month ago, and the people of Gujarat have rejected that. Because you see, taking industry on board and removing bottlenecks in decision making for the bureaucracy, for the industry, and encouraging investment and growth, they are essentials of development today, and that is the model followed all over the world. And I think the mindset of the Congress party, I think they still live in the 70s of the license Raj era, and today I think industry has to be, and then the transparency in decision making, and the complete lack of corruption. And these are the virtues that the industry does not. All the captains of the industry were here in Ahmedabad today, sharing the dais with Mr. Modi, mainly because they see a great supporter of industry in him and a great supporter who encourages investment and growth.
No, but
and,
Mr.
and
Dood, when somebody compares him with Arjuna, Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Patel, do you think our business leaders just need to stand back, reflect for a moment? Do you think they're getting carried away in this love fest for Modi?
Is that question
Mr.
for me,
Dood,
Rahul?
Venugopal Dood.
Yeah, you asking me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Modi has got a profound vision, intellectual power and extraordinary personality. He has been striving his nerve for Gujarat, 6 crore people of Gujarat. He thinks that he is their family, and to develop Gujarat he is ready to do anything. So what he has done, since last 10 years he has been calling all industrialists every year, and most of them today, first 20 industrialists of the country were there and thousands others were there. I was also there. And what Modi spoke from the bottom of his heart is that they should, all industry should invest in Gujarat, and anybody has got any problem, any sort of problem, he can just knock his door at midnight also. And that's why
no, but he's far more accessible to business leaders than he is to the common man. The common person doesn't feel the same level of connectivity. He's bending over backwards to please business. But does the common man feel connected in the same way? Keeping businessmen happy is not the only thing, sir.
Yeah, you see, common man wants development. He wants job. He wants job security. And for that, industry is essential, and Narendra Modi has understood that if he wants to develop Gujarat, he wants industry and then infrastructure. You see, for example, any power project you go, most of the part in India, power projects are not successful, but in Gujarat it has been successful. He is doing for the people. He always say that he is calling all these industrialists, all the people, not because he is rightist. He wants to help the bottom of the pyramid, people who are living at the bottom of pyramid, they are his target, and to uplift them, to increase their standard of living, and to see that they come off.
No, but let's look at some facts. Let's look at some facts. There was a RTI put in by Gordon Zadafia, which points out, GVL, that of the 17,705 MOUs announced since 2003, only 1,907 have gone on to see the light of day. The rest of it is a lot of hype, a lot of bluster, but those projects haven't come up on the ground. This is an RTI released by the Gujarat government.
Rahul, I think, you see, MOUs by very nature, you cannot expect all of them to fructify in a time frame of even 2 or 3 years. And these are, in a sense, I think, intentions of investment, and this will happen over a period of time. But at the same time, it would be, I think, a little naive to expect every MOU to mature and result in investment. But if you look at the overall record of investment in Gujarat, I think it ranks among the top. And the industrial growth in Gujarat is one of the highest.
Only 6% of the projects announced in Vibrant Gujarat went on to actually fructify. So 94% hype, 6% reality. That's the fact.
No, I don't. I think that will be. You see, this is exactly. I think what you are saying today is exactly the kind of a campaign that was unleashed in Gujarat by the Congress Party, and
no,
the results.
This is not a campaign. This is an RTI. These are facts, GVL. Don't dismiss it as politics. These are facts.
But the entire Rahul, the entire Congress advertising campaign.
What does this have to do with the Congress? An election victory doesn't take away from facts. The facts are that 17,705 MOUs were announced. 1,907 went on to actually become live projects. The others were just floundering. So it's 94% hype, 6% reality. That's a fact. It's got nothing to do with the Gujarat election result.
I think, as I told you, you cannot expect every MOU to fructify in the first place. And second, I think there has been, obviously, there will be an attempt to make sure that each one of these MOUs mature. But then there are certain bottlenecks, and you will have to allow for time for most of these things to fructify.
But this has been since 2003. It's been 9 years, still things haven't fructified on the ground. I want to go across to Captain Gopinath on whether Vibrant Gujarat is more hype than reality. I have some figures over here. In the past 12 years, between 2000 and 2012, Maharashtra attracted 33% of the FDI in the country. New Delhi was at 19%, Karnataka at 6%, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu were tied at 5% each. But if you hear Narendra Modi and if you hear all the businessmen who were at Vibrant Gujarat this morning, it would seem that Gujarat is leading the pack. The fact is, Gujarat is not leading the pack. Maharashtra is leading the pack, sir.
You know, you are right. I was there in the previous Vibrant Gujarat, and I happened to be on the stage when I signed an MOU for this Gujarat Shuttle, which I launched. It was more like a Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan rock show, because every Gujarati was there. You know, it was a 2-mile long queue to get into for the cars. You know, Gujarat is very special in that sense that, you know, it attracts a lot of hype and hoopla and sound and fury. But I think the moot point is, you know, even comparing Modi to the other BJP chief ministers, because I have dealt with a lot of other chief ministers, like many other businessmen. He is unique. You know, the meetings are crisp, the meetings are short, they are focused. He doesn't get distracted. 25 people do not come and barge in between. He's not attending to 25 phone calls. You know, he's focused, he listens to you.
Sure, so maybe he's got some attributes of a good CEO. Maybe he's got the attributes of a good CEO, and several businessmen will attest to that. But there's also, Mr. Dood, a lot of hype and hoopla. Most of the projects that are spoken about at Vibrant Gujarat never see the light of day. You know, I've got some more figures here. 422 projects in 2005 worth 16,500 crores. You know, out of which only 75 projects started. Mr. Dood?
You see, well, that is there. When many projects are signed, it has got a gestation period. So it's not necessary and expedient that it is immediately start, but they have shown the intention. But the figures are very high as compared to other states. Somebody has mentioned about Maharashtra. Of course, Ahmedabad and Mumbai is not comparable. And Maharashtra development, because of Mumbai-Thane, Pune belt and Nashik belt, is very high, and FDI will always come to Maharashtra. Gujarat is a state where it was ignored in 15 years back time. But now, because of Narendra Modi, at least people are coming to Gujarat. Otherwise, it would have become a very backward state. So he has improved it, and now he is bringing it at the number 1. And today he has promised. I was there at Vibrant Gujarat, and he has promised that Gujarat will be at number 1. And it seems that the enthusiasm which he has created and the industry want to be there, and one more thing which he has shown, that the way for Ratan Tata, when he couldn't do anything in Bangalore, West Bengal, he could do his factory in Gujarat. So people are now confident, and with this Vibrant Gujarat going on, I think Narendra Modi will be successful in at least not as equal to Maharashtra, but number 2 at least Narendra Modi will become, and Gujarat will always shine on Indian horizon.
But somewhere you're also now admitting that a lot of the claims are bluster. They haven't been met with reality. Prasenjit Bose now joins us. He's been pouring through the figures from Vibrant Gujarat. We're hearing the chairperson of Videocon Industries, we're hearing Captain Gopinath, all of them praise Narendra Modi no end. We saw what Mukesh Ambani, Anil Ambani did today. It almost seems as if for business India, Narendra Modi is God.
Well, I think that speaks volumes about the character of India Incorporation. I think it's height of intellectual bankruptcy on their part, and it is so selfish on their part to look at the development process in our country solely from the prism of corporate profitability and corporate investments. Now, if you just look at the social outcome of the so-called growth story of Gujarat, if you look at employment generation, for instance, the National Sample Survey, the government's most authentic employment survey in our country, shows that from 2005 till 2010, employment growth in Gujarat has been near 0% per annum. So, what is this kind of corporate investment-led growth that we are talking about, which does not translate into employment generation? If you look at the poverty figures of Gujarat, it is, many other states have done much better. If you look at inequality, and most alarmingly, the health and education performance of Gujarat is, lagging behind many other states, even in basic indicators like literacy. If you look at infant mortality rates, if you look at malnutrition. So the basic problem with corporate India today is that they think what is best for their bottom lines, what is best for their profits is best for India.
Let Captain Gopinath respond to that. If you look at employment growth, if you look at poverty, if you look at inequality, the numbers aren't growing. The only numbers that are growing are the numbers in the bottom line of all our businessmen, which is why they love Modi so much.
Rahul,
I'm coming to you, GV, and let Captain Gopinath speak. You're next.
No, I don't want to get into a slanging match here, but all the point I made was to a specific inquiry whether Modi delivered on the promises that he makes to people who want to set up a business.
But there are several other promises he hasn't kept
debate
to the common people. Those figures are very different from the figures that show up on businessmen's bottom lines.
All that I'm saying is today the biggest charity anybody can do is to create jobs, and the private sector create jobs. And of course there could be criticism on the various other fronts. I'm not joining issue on that. Definitely there are a lot of mistakes he has made. I'm not even saying that he is better than Congress. I'm saying Narendra Modi, in whatever way I dealt with him, vis-a-vis on a one-on-one basis, I didn't have to bribe him. I didn't have to go knocking doors. He called and he delivered on the promise he made.
Okay. GVL Narasimha Rao, poverty, inequality, health, education, employment growth, in all these figures, Gujarat lags. The only place it's leading, alleges Prasenjit Bose, is in delivering bottom lines for businessmen, which is why they're loving.
I think this is number one. I think let me bring this out. I think you have taken a very negative angle to the whole the issue of Vibrant Gujarat, and I'll explain why. Number one, had it not been for the initiatives that he has taken, Gujarat would not be what it is today.
No, why don't you answer the question raised by Prasenjit Bose?
No, I'll
let's look at the NSS figures for employment. Let's look at the figures for poverty, for inequality. Gujarat is lagging.
I think these are all self-contradictory claims. The government of India's figures show that the unemployment rate is the lowest, is the least in Gujarat. So that I don't buy that argument. Number two, the social indicators, the Gujarat model of development has been praised by people like Justice Bhagwati recently, who have actually found these fallacious claims on social indicators to be completely
Prasenjit wants to respond to what you're saying.
Unless there is an overall development and growth, you cannot have social development. And Gujarat has shown progress over the years. It's not as if things have remained static. And this is a bogey, I think, which has been debunked by again a very reputed economist like Mr. Justice Bhagwati recently.
Okay, Prasenjit.
Yeah, I don't know what this gentleman with Justice Bhagwati he is talking about. There is one economist, Mr. Bhagwati, Professor Bhagwati. So
yes, I'm referring to that.
Yeah, so he's not Justice, he's Professor Bhagwati. You see, I am not quoting...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you should be sorry for not getting your facts right. See, the point is, it's not about name dropping. I can drop 10 and 15 more names of reputed economists. That's not the issue. You are coming to a television debate. You have to be authentic on your facts. I am not quoting any bogey. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. Hang on. I am speaking to you from an economic point of view. The National Sample Survey of India, the Government of India figures show that between 2005 to 2010, employment growth rate in Gujarat was 0%. Can you contest that figure? Are you contesting? Are you challenging that figure?
The figure of Ministry of Labor.
What Ministry of Labor? This is National Sample Survey. You are not even
I'm not talking
aware.
about sample survey. I'm not talking about sample
So
survey.
why aren't you talking about
Ministry of
sample
Labour
survey?
Statistics.
And you see, at a larger level, apart from these semi-literate people whom the BJP gets to defend themselves on television, apart from that apart,
Yeah,
I think there is a larger issue.
You make that point to the government of India.
There is
Statistics
a larger
say that.
issue.
One by one.
There is a larger issue. I think that there is a need for a great degree of sobriety on part of everybody, especially on part of corporate India, when one talks about economic development. Unfortunately, we are equating economic development with how business friendly a government is, or how much it delivers on economic growth, narrowly defined in terms of GDP growth. But what is GDP growth? Unless it translates into concrete improvement in the lives of ordinary people, the Aam Aadmi, the workers. You just look at the condition of the workers, the scheduled caste, the marginalized sections. Look at the school going children in Gujarat. What is the situation in Gujarat as far as the school going? Is Gujarat the best in terms of health and education indicators in our country? Is Gujarat the best in terms of malnutrition in our country, in terms of feeding its population? And when the global economic crisis came, the worst state to get hit was Gujarat. Why? Because the labor conditions are so pathetic. There's absolute hire and fire. There's no labor rights. The moment there is...
I think we have to
Okay,
learn
you made
from
your
West
point. I'm
Bengal.
out of time. GVL, very quick final point.
We have to learn from West Bengal.
I am not representing West Bengal. I am talking to you on the basis of hard economic data.
You were at some point of time.
Okay, we're going to leave it over there. Clearly, as is the case with Narendra Modi, nothing with him is black and white. There are strong arguments on both sides, and both sides don't budge an inch. You've heard from both sides. We leave it to you to decide where you stand. For the moment, Venugopal Dut, Captain Gopinath, GVL Narasimha Rao and Prasenjit Bose for joining us on the center stage face-off tonight. Thank you very much.